which is weird.
Hmm.
But I know Julia's already asked me to.
Call to order of Kyvie School District 52, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which we'll turn over to Mrs. Hanson.
We have very special kindergarten students here helping us today, and they have invited some of our ASB people here, our officers, to come help them lead. So, hey, are we ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. So we're gonna say our kids at home pledge. Are we ready? Okay. I am a kid at home. I am talented, smart, and capable of success. I have dreams for the future, and I will try to reach those goals and dreams. And would our treasure hunters please say their pledge? I am a treasure hunter, an adult and a treasure hunter. I am committed to search for all the talents, skills, and intelligence that exist in all children and youth. I believe all children are capable of success. No exception. No exception. Yeah.
Good job. Thank you very much. You made a boring meeting into a fun meeting.
Right, yeah.
Like this thing, I need to take home as we talk about it. Side voices.
Yeah, just in case you need one.
Yeah. We have never fight.
All right, so we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes, any questions, any discussion before we continue on? So the chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay,
Aye.
you,
Sorry.
okay, then we'll move to delegations, Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, we kind of got them ahead of where I would even say, but just thank you to the parents and kids who came in this evening to help us with the pledge. It's a lot of fun and probably the most kids we've had at the board meetings since I've been here. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we look forward to doing that again.
Absolutely.
Really?
Okay, then moving on to the proposed consent agenda. We have discussion, questions, comments?
I would think the only clarifier might be, and this is something that I just want to throw out there because it's the manual warrant you see at the bottom. We have those very, very rarely. In fact, I think they've only happened one time in the last 5 years that I've been here. What happens with a manual warrant is that one of the automatic transfers from a bank that normally comes out of our account for whatever reason, the internet's down, the website is down on their end, on the bank's end, something happens. So when that automatic withdrawal can't be processed, then they send us an actual paper bill and we do a manual warrant.
Real live old
A
fashioned
real,
check.
yes.
Hey. So any other questions or comments? No? We'll entertain a motion on that one too.
I will.
I'll move go ahead and approve the proposal.
Oh, well,
Oh, that's right.
Oh. Then I will make a motion to approve the proposed consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Aye. Motion passes. All right, now we'll move into public comment. Do we have any public comment? We'll invite anyone who'd like to make a comment to state your name and come forward. And then limit your comments to 3 minutes.
All right, good evening. I'm Sophia Craven and I'm here representing Benton City Basketball Club. It's our mission to keep local youth involved while working as a feeder program. Currently, our program is supporting 15 teams and 160 players, all Kaibi youth. We're a nonprofit. We raise money from hosting games on the weekends and use this money to purchase insurance, background checks, practice gear, and uniforms. In addition, we pay the school's facility use fees, and that is why we are here. I understand that the board asked for more information before approving the facility use increase, and I want to thank you for showing that you care. As we review the information, review who else will be impacted by these increases. From what I've seen on the district calendars, it's primarily our club that will suffer. I'm concerned that the school district is driving sports away by not providing fair policies, limiting use in available gyms, and now increasing facility use fees. Due to this, we no longer have a club volleyball team, one that was successful. Some Kaibi volleyball players are now looking for other clubs, and even more are not. This is one unintended negative consequence of unfair practices and what may have seemed like reasonable policies. Our club will be negatively impacted if there's an increase in facility use fees. If we need to increase our fees, some of our children may no longer play. Increases may cost us out of running a program. We are asking the board to help us see that our children and their youth programs are prioritized. This is not a simple fee adjustment and should not be sold that way. To parents, to our kids, to our clubs, we know it's about access. It's about isolating our kids from opportunity. This proposal to increase fees seems to be a budget and prioritizing issue. The budget should be balanced in a way that supports youth programs so that our children can have access to opportunities. We're asking the board not for an avenue to request a waiver, which is what I believe was done the last meeting, but for a commitment for continued support fundamentally and financially through productive relationships, access, and subsidized facilities. We have, in summary, we would like a positive partnership with the school, gym usage fees to be considered in the budget, and clear policies to guide us in being productive partners. This is a community effort and we need the school to not see us as an outside club, but recognize and support us in providing a healthy opportunity for our local children. So as you prepare to make a determination, please consider the children this will impact. This really is about the unintended negative consequences of our Kaibi youth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
It's gonna be kind of hard to do that, but, so I'm also here for the fee waiver as well, because I can
State your name.
Oh, I'm Celeste Pace, and I also run the AAU program, and I do a lot of the budgeting and things like that, and I see where this can really affect our whole program. And within the past 2 years, we've been able to get jerseys for every single kid and everything else, and if without that extra $100 that you guys want to take from us every weekend by charging the school wants to charge us, we are able to put that back towards our kids. I want to be able, I talked to many gyms this weekend even. They offer it, nobody's charging them anything, and I'm just like, what is going on? What is going on? I know people have said that they get charged, but many say, oh, well, they're supposed to, but they don't, because they want it to go back to the kids. And that is something that's small that can be waived. And I'd like to, you charge me that, that's 5 kids that I can't sponsor anymore because their parents can't pay. So it does directly affect our program when you guys want to do that. And I would like to continue to host the travel time. I'm gonna stop hosting games here for the Benton City kids. Well, now they have to travel to Sunnyside to Yakima. It's gas for the kids. It's time, more time. They want home games and they're gonna charge me like so much. I can't really see where it makes sense besides the home games for the kids, but it doesn't make it worth it to me to subject the kids all the time. I want to keep doing it, but I can't do it financially if we're gonna get charged a 60% increase. So, I don't like you guys to not do it, but that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? Hi, my name's Angel Mendoza, and I guess I'm against raising the fees for Benton City Youth. So I grew up here in this community. I grew up in these trailer parks or trailers out here in the back. So I didn't really grow up playing basketball, honestly. I didn't play until like 7th grade. It wasn't until 7th grade that I like fell in love and started playing basketball. Played basketball in the mornings religiously with Mr. Pratt, actually, of all people. Like all the time, like Tuesdays, Thursdays, I was there, like Tuesdays, Thursdays, even after basketball, be time when they go shower, I come out of the shower or whatever, and I still go play basketball. And I guess for me, it's kind of, it's sad to see that we raise our rates and then we kind of push kids away. We push families away that otherwise would want to play, that can't play or won't be able to play. For me, it was an escape. I was actually principal honor roll, which is weird because I'm like the best at school, right? But I was principal honor roll my senior year. But a lot of the reason why I did well and I actually focused in school was because if I didn't, I wasn't going to play basketball. And like that's one thing that drove me to continue to play and to continue with my education was just playing basketball and like seeing some of these kids get pushed away. It would be really sad because I would hate for them to fall into something else outside of sports or something to keep them occupied, keep them away from walking down the streets, getting to who knows what. But I guess I would just hate to see kids get pushed away. I would really love it if we could just, honestly, we volunteer enough time that even after the gym times, we still sit there and we clean the bleachers. We go out there and we reach and bend over. We don't even have a leaf blower. We go out there and we reach and like, we literally sweep these bleachers. I don't know if you ever sweep bleachers, but they don't really sweep at all. We go out there and we pick everything up. Sometimes we leave it cleaner than we find it. It'd be awesome if we could just waive the fee and we could literally volunteer to clean the gym. Like that's all we do is literally volunteer hours and hours and hours of time. Like I don't even understand. Like we get to gym and I'm not janitors do a great job sometimes. But we literally leave the gym in a better state than when we find it. We really do. And it just kind of it's frustrating for us because we're doing everything we can, we're cleaning, we're trying to leave everything the same shape, if not better than when we find it, and yet we're still getting our fees, our utility fees going up. My taxes just went up like $30,000-$40,000 and I'm still getting everything just, I'm still volunteering all this time and like here I am paying more, and it's just kind of frustrating, even more so as a volunteer when all this money that we get from AAU literally goes right back into the kids. We don't see like, there's no profit for us. Like we do this for the kids because I don't know, I love watching the kids play basketball. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Other public comment? Do we have any electronic or nothing electronic? Okay, well, thank you for your comments. We'll move on to principal reports. First up, Chris Hansen.
Thanks for
having me and our kids here today. We're super excited, and thank you to the mirror teachers who helped them prepare and help their confidence go up. But I just wanted to talk tonight. I know I sent my kind of talking points, and I want to talk about some of the behavior incentives that we're working on through our multi-tiered system of support at the elementary. Pledges was one. So we're talking about being kids at hope and treasure hunters at school, and every morning we say those pledges and talk about how we believe in kids and how kids can believe in themselves. We started something called 3 for 3 at Kybee, and Lisa has really brought this to us from some of the things that she has done in her other job in Pasco. But 3 for 3 is respectful, responsible, and safe. So we talk to kids about being 3 for 3 in all areas of our school. And the behavior matrix that I did send you and also set down on the table is just talking about how each area has these 3 for 3 places. So you can be respectful, responsible, safe. The kids really get that. And each teacher is teaching the direct expectations for the different areas. We teach it as a whole. We talk about it a lot. Are you 3 for 3 here today? Were you 3 for 3 at recess? And along with that, then we have what we call bear bucks, which are these little pink things. Sometimes different colors depending on what's in the copier at the time, but 3 for 3. And so kids get, what we're basically doing is catching kids doing it right. So we're finding kids that are 3 for 3, no matter where they are, and any adult can give it to any student, anywhere. And so we have a basket in the office. Each classroom has a basket and they turn it in. And then on Friday, each classroom draws 2 bear bucks, and then from the office, we draw 5. And then we have each week a different, what we call a bear crawl. So they get, the first one is a candy cart. Second one is what we call bear bros, like Dutch bros. So they have little pseudo Italian sodas, no cream. But, and then the third one is an extra recess, and the fourth Friday of the month is a treasure chest. So kids can hold them if they want. They can decide, oh, I don't really like that one, so I'm gonna wait for that one. But they really seem to be responding and are really proud when they come in. So it's about 65 to 69 kids every week that are getting rewarded for that behavior. And plus teachers are also using it different ways in their classrooms. Even daily, they might draw one, or if we feel like someone needs a little bit more behavior incentive for something, they can earn it, you know. So it's really seems to be responding well to it. Eventually posters will be up. We're gonna be getting posters done, or yeah. But anyway, these are like, so each area, so this is like the arrival expectations. So around down the hallways by the doors, each one will have the 3 for 3 expectations up. So in the cafeteria, in the hallways, in the classrooms, in the bathrooms, you know, there will be these 3 for 3 posters that kids can always be reminded what our expectations are and how they can get those bear bucks. We're calling the classroom now the Bear Den. And it's still used for kids that need to calm down, have a break, just kind of refocus. But it can also be used for our bear crawls and for some positive things also. So we're using it in different ways. So we're calling it the Bear Den now. We've been working on assemblies because it's been a long time since everyone can be together. So we've done some little smaller practice assemblies with primary and with intermediate, and we did practice assemblies, just teaching behavior. And then we had one where we honored the 2020 and 2021 Teachers of the Year that got passed over because we weren't being able to be together. And then we had a Halloween assembly with a staff costume contest, which was epic. It was crazy, but it was epic. We had a catwalk down the middle, and all the staff it was, and the kids clapped for who they wanted to win. It was just so much fun. Like I said, it was fourth grade team. And I think it was because Mr. Peck, he had a sea turtle costume, and he came in at the end on the dive, roll, dance, move at the end. And so, yeah, he definitely got the standing ovation. And then also we had JJ the rodeo clown here for a bowling assembly. So that's been just really great to be able to bring kids together. We do have teaching to do about in a social situation like that, how we, show respect and stuff, but we're working on that. So, and have more coming. We also are working with Emily Rob a lot on our attendance stuff, and we're going to be tying some of these incentives into our attendance. And really kind of focusing on those kids that are at risk or, you know, have chronic absenteeism, but seeing how we can get some incentives in there. We're hoping that all of this combined kind of helps that, because it just is creating such a fun atmosphere at school. And then in January, we're also going to be starting a new program that's kind of more focused on our tier 2 students, that I'll be giving you more information about, but it's called the HUG program, and it's hello, update, goodbye. So students are connected with a trusting adult at school, and it's just a quick making sure that adults are checking in. Hey, good to see you. How's it going? So there's just a connection there with kids that need that in school. So coming up is our math night this Thursday for elementary, and then we have make teacher night again. We haven't done that for a couple of years either. So we go to McDonald's and help throw the fries around on December 6th. And then I just really want to say thank you to Lisa and to Shannon and Schleep, our new counselor, who have both just put in so much time and effort on helping us kind of implement some of these new behavior programs and ideas, and it's a work in progress. So a few steps forward and a step back or two, but we're really trying to really get the culture and climate that are real positive for the kids. And I'm doing it right. So they're doing a great job. So any questions for me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's all the effort. Okay. Mr. Path.
Of all
One
people.
down.
I know.
Good evening. For the first time in, I don't know, 100 years, I didn't send you a lineup, what we're talking about, so we'll just have to go with it. Last week, I spent some days with a couple of teachers at outdoor education training. And it was very good. We're looking at ways that we can, enhance what we do with Camp Wood. And there's state monies that come with that, and I'm happy to report that we have qualified for $75,000 worth of support for Camp Wooten in our outdoor camp. So very excited about that, excited that some of that money that previously went to Camp Wooten can head other places and support our educational program. So that was a very cool piece, and we want to continue the work that goes on in Camp Wooten. It is over 50 years that we've been going to Camp Wooten, and appreciate the community support and the school support that goes towards providing that experience for our kids. Couple other things that we want to point out: our winter sports started about 2 weeks ago. We've got over 40 kids that are looking to play boys basketball. And we have a dozen girls or so that are in their inaugural season of just a girls wrestling season. And so that's a pretty good start. Or there's been years when the whole thing hasn't had 12. So we're pleased with that. We're pleased with the turnout on both sides. Of course, that comes with some challenges as far as supervision and possibly other coaches that we're looking into, but we're not there yet. Other things, we've got had on Thursday a Veterans Day assembly at the middle school. We did our own this year, and it from all reports it turned out very well. That was positive. We did a whole week's worth of preparation about Veterans Day. The Caves wrote letters to different VFW posts. We made it educational. That was good. We got a ton of letters that are going to go out that already have gone out. Other things, we've been preparing for our student-led conferences. Of course, those come next week on Monday and Tuesday. Seems simple. We just have a conference, but we have to train the kids. We have to make sure that they know the script. They've got everything prepared. So our teachers have been working on that. A lot of other good things going on, but I think I'll end it there. Are there any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Sounds good.
You.
Thank you.
Well, most of you hopefully get my email. So what I did was I printed out my morning announcements because I do that every day, you know, so. There you go. All right. So that's the list of things that we do. Hopefully you guys get the email, but I just got back from a WSU Tri-Cities mock interviews of 5 teachers and their program, which was a great way to highlight small schools in Kybee as an opportunity. One of the ladies in my group was a kindergarten, first grade teacher, and I told her it'd be a great place to meet, because you know, Christine. Chris, I mean, you know. And I also said that I'd be more than happy for any of them if they wanted to come through and walk through the buildings, because I do think it's different and better than going to a larger school district. That's just my biased opinion. I understand that. And we went through a lot of great stuff tonight. As you see, we have a math night tomorrow night. This is for tomorrow. This isn't today's. I'd already updated. So we have a math night tomorrow night from 5:30 to 7. If you're interested, come on up. We have dinner that we can serve. There's also going to be gear up. We're going to talk about getting into power school. We're going to be talking about WASA, what am I talking about? What's the FAFSA for seniors to be able to apply, because that actually started early. It didn't start like when I was in school in February, January. It starts in October now. Okay. FBLA, we're doing a food drive. All that food stays in our Feathers Pantry. We also talk about the applications for University of Washington is November 15th. That's when they start opening and stuff. And so there's a lot of opening there for CBC, and then there's WSU, and then Central. We also have College and Career Fair. That'll be Wednesday, December 7th, if you're interested. We're going to do that at school from 8 to 11. It's something a little different than we've done before. And we're going to do another one in the spring we're looking at. And then on the 21st, we have a financial aid night that our counselors come in, and they go from 5 to 7:30, so parents can come in and do that. If you look on the bottom, basically, excuse me, on the back, then there's upcoming events that are the same as on our phone call I make home. But on the 25th, we have Winter Sports Community Scrimmage. That's the day after Thanksgiving. That's a new thing this year. There'll be scrimmages between the boys basketball team, the girls basketball team, and they're introduce the wrestlers or introduce the cheerleaders and stuff. And it's really trying to just kind of build more community within our sports program and supporting everybody. So hopefully it's a blue and white night. So if you have an opportunity to come, make sure you wear your blue and or your white, or both. Okay. Then we have a Winter Sports concert on the 14th. I do have the Benton City Winterfest at the high school. I just put that on there because it is a community event that happened pre-COVID and hasn't happened since then. So it's nice that it's back. They pretty much use the whole high school and everything. The winter concerts from 6:30 to 8. That's also drama puts on a quick little skit there during that time. We just don't have enough students to do a full play. So each time we have a concert date, then we're doing those things. And then you'll see that we break for Christmas. I wanted to talk about a couple things. Veterans Day Assembly we had last Thursday turned out great. It was only the high school. I think we had about 15 veterans that came. I'm estimating in my head about what I saw and so forth. It was great to see Mr. Hopper dressed in his uniform for the day, to be honest. And the kids were like, I didn't know, you know, so it's kind of neat to have him in the building for that. We did have a great meeting with the AAU last week about facility usage and stuff. And it was great to be collaborative on that kind of stuff and talk those things out. Well, they do a 3 for 3. My things that I've always talked to kids, it's really funny because I do respect, responsibility, reality, and in high school, rated G language. So everybody comes to school, those are the 4 things I go over. They pretty much cover everything that you can do, you know, in school. We're also looking at making our assemblies a little shorter. We just came back from the SCAC sportsmanship camp that was at Zilla this year, was in Connell last year. And one of the things that came back was that you make them shorter, they're faster, You get through the stuff, you try to stay on task, keep people interested, and then you get them out of there. So we're looking between 15 and 30 minutes is what we're doing instead of the 55 minutes or 50 minutes to an hour that we've done in the past, which is kind of long to sit there and stuff. We also are doing the attendance stuff with Mrs. Rob, and she's doing a great job and trying to get as many people as we can, talking to kids all the time. It's really important. I mean, you can obviously see that if they come to school, they do a little better at school than if they're not at school. And when you have the chronic absenteeism, that does affect them long term. We try to make it a lot. Part of the high school is really getting them to understand that we're making from them the young ninth grader become young adults. And in real life, if you didn't go to work these many days, there's a consequence. And so the consequences that they're gaining now, they don't understand is really their grades. So we try to make sure we have those conversations. Other than that, I think I'm kind of a little busy with everything that's going on. I do want to thank the district administration. I want to thank Heidi for supporting me. I'm actually talking fast because that's the way my day is. I mean, I had a meeting right after school with the Tri-Cities. My wife, it's her birthday tonight, so I'm sorry, but I'm leaving right after I'm done with this because I get to spend a little bit of time with her. I did buy dinner to have delivered and I wasn't there. So, but I did get flowers and all that kind of good stuff too. So, but I do appreciate the time in front of you. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. I was called my wife before I got here. And I'm like, I'll be home as soon as I can. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. So next we'll go to unfinished business, our facility use fee discussion. I'll let you lead it off, Mr. Peters.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Thornton. And just a reminder to everybody on board that, Director Reinschmidt had some questions. Not last meeting, but 2 meetings ago. She was unable to be here last meeting, so we thought we'd hold off hold off with any discussion or decision at that time and allow Mr. Rob to go ahead and speak to the items that the board wanted to see before moving forward. So I'll kind of, as Dale turn it over to me, I'll look at Mr. Rob and ask him to proceed.
Thank you. So I think, Julie, your biggest question was talking about a sliding scale.
Yeah, and then just kind of the factors that went into determining the rates that are being proposed.
Yeah, so I'll start with the sliding scale. So for the sliding scale, I just did it off 25% increments. I tried to just still give our 75 to 100% IB students $1 a day like we've been doing in the past. And anything over 50%, because I kind of thought in our discussions that 50% and above was kind of where we were wanting to target. Still getting a really good rate, $5 a day, and then increasing from there. I don't know if that's something that you wanted to revisit, and the numbers there, those numbers I just kind of threw together. No real rhyme or reason to those ones. The other ones, there was more, thought on that. But
No, I thought that those percentages gave some incentive for the coaches to try to recruit more from IB.
well, and it still was, even if they aren't all from IB or had a small percentage, then it was still under what we normally charge anyway, because it is, for the youth and whatnot. And then for the rates themselves, for just in general, the way I looked at it was I started with a custodial rate. It was at $30 a day, which is 2 hours a piece. So anytime we call a custodian in, we have to have them there for 2 hours, no matter what. Whether it's just to unlock a door, restock a bathroom. So from our perspective, it was, okay, we need to make sure we're covering that cost. We're not going to make money off of it. Make sure we're covering the salary and the benefits piece. So I took all of our custodial staff, their salaries, what it would be per hour to have them come in for that 2 hours, and then just made an hourly rate with the benefits that was right there. Like I said, we're not trying to make money, but we're just trying to cover our costs on that piece. For the actual facility use rates. Mostly our gyms are the what you use the most. Boardroom once in a while, classroom here and there, library once in a while. But I put most of my focus onto the gym rates. And looking at what currently we have going. We're giving people a better rate than even what our rates say currently. We're charging $1 a day regardless of how many gyms are used, how many teams are in the gym. That's a pretty good deal to me. Because on here it says $1 a session, so really we could be charging each team that practices that day $1. But we're not. And then when they're hosting games, whether it's Lilo, EU, whoever, our weekend rate is actually $84 for the first hour, 42 each additional hour. They've been given the price of the first weekday hour, which is $56, but that's for the whole day. So we're not charging per additional hour, which is significantly cheaper than anybody around us. Richland, Pasco, Kennewick are $100 an hour on the weekend. And so, and looking at our form, it was adopted in 2007. It's 15 years. That's a long time to not have an increase. So the way I kind of looked at it was, okay, if we bumped it up to $125 a day. And most of these organizations are in there 5 hours to 8 hours. That's only $25 an hour or $25 an hour for 5 hours, $15 an hour for 8 hours. They're also charging $5 a head to get in these events. So if they're there for 5 hours, they only need 25 people to come in to cover that. 45 people to cover with the custodial. If you've attended, I'm sure you guys have attended some of these events, they get more than 45 people at the door. Well over, and then they have concessions running and whatnot. So I didn't feel like that was too far-fetched to ask for. Our boiler room, the price for the propane to heat the gyms and whatnot has gone up, along with our PUD costs. So again, we're not making money even on this increase, but we're just trying to help cover more of these costs to turn on the lights, keep the gyms heated and whatnot. Any questions?
That's $125 a day, that's including the custodial fee?
No, the custodial fee is separate, so that's $50 a day. So if you host,
You go weekends.
yeah,
But as a reminder, that's for non-community groups, commercial groups, not the AEU and the other.
no, that's
Includes
That's if they're doing a complete
if they're hosting games or
game.
or volleyball has a tournament, they hosted volleyball tournament. Even like wrestling hosts their hardcore wrestling, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And is that what we're charging now, the 125?
We charge $56 per site. We have not, the fees have not increased at all. And it's $30. We're still charging $30 for our custodians, so we're still under there.
Just as a point of interest, because as Clay alluded to, I've been spending a lot of time up at the high school working on athletics, and we had our soccer program, of course, make it to state. And one of the requests that was made by our coaching staff was to try and get us some time on a turf field. And I was able to secure us 2 hours on Monday and 2 hours on Tuesday at Edgar Brown Stadium. And for both of those days, it was $250 a day to have the electrician just come in and turn on the lights. And they were there for about 5 minutes total. So these are not things that we like to do, but there's certainly things that you have to take into account.
Well, I just want to make sure whatever we're doing, we're not putting at risk the existence of our local institutions, because I mean, we're obviously a community institution for the benefit of the students and youth that live here, and I want to be in a cooperative agreement with other institutions that serve that same mission. So whatever we can do to keep it reasonable so that those organizations aren't at risk.
Yeah, that I really appreciated the comments tonight of, you know, just how valuable these programs are. If we can get these kids in them at a young age, and then, you know, they start developing their skills, the likelihood that they'll continue into middle school and into high school. And then we know that the more students that are involved in these extracurricular activities, the better our graduation rates will be. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile program for us to support, and don't want to lose these programs. I want to thank Sophia for providing us the number of students that are participating right now. It's 160, and I believe the impact statement was 1,500 about for their increase. If we looked at, if they did the same thing that they did last year, it would be $1,500 more from their program. And so I kind of divided that out, and that was, you know, about $8 or so a kid, between $8 and $10 a kid. And so to me, that doesn't seem like a huge increase. I kind of feel like for them to, you know, you brought up the travel, you know, the gas price, if we don't host here, but, you know, maybe if that was presented to families, we'll be able to host more tournaments here. You won't have to travel. We are increasing the rates just a little bit to help with facilities. Maybe they can see that they're actually saving because they wouldn't have to travel so much with the gas money. Of course, you guys can make your decisions on rates and things depending on whatever we decide, but I think we do need to make sure that we are recouping the cost to the district, and it needs to be reasonable. So.
Hey, Julie, another point is we can't waive these fees per se, especially if they are charging entry. Otherwise, it's a gift to public funds.
Right.
So it's not like we
Yes,
want to
there-
charge, it's just something we have. to
So,
do.
you know, we can for their practices, which is $1 a day, we've really cut down on that
Yeah,
cost.
especially with,
But it's when they're hosting the games, that's when
Yep.
we have to. Thank
Yeah,
you,
so,
Drew.
yeah, so it's state law that we have to charge, right? Because
If-
otherwise it's
yeah,
gifted
if
public
they're
funds, you
charging
say,
us.
but, I mean, given that we're allowed to charge, we're allowed to subsidize whatever we feel is appropriate. Is that fair to state?
That's fair.
Yeah, I wanna be sure that we're distinguishing between like a non-community institution, you know, someone wants to host a concert in one of our gyms versus a youth-oriented organization like AAU or something else.
and I think I tried to do that on there. I think I kind
Yeah.
of grouped them together, and then I had our non-community,
Right.
nonprofit and commercial groups in there as well. So.
I can have an issue with more than doubling our cost in 1 year, just all in one shot.
Yeah, and if we
That would be
waited
better.
15 years to increase, I mean.
Yeah,
that's-
can't we maybe?
I won't say like
Read
Rick
that
and I, because we were
next
here.
year? And,
Well,
I mean, going from 56 to 125, that's quite a jump.
My other concern was if they've already started their season and collected their fees, it's kind of not giving them much time to adjust to these new rates. I think AAU is
I think
when
starting,
the season started.
I think as far
Something
as
to
like,
consider too.
yes, season already started, but at least whatever change we are gonna make. Decide why not start until after, in the summer started. That way they have 6 months.
So they have some time.
Yeah, 6
adjust for
months
their
to
next
adjust whatever
season.
changes we do. Yeah. And not raise it till. Try to keep the cost at the very most minimal we can, you know, because being in their shoes, I know it's a lot of hours. Not just them, but the coaches, you know, to give them through all times. It's a benefit for the community and for our school. But I think we just need to try to do our best to limit whatever we can to the minimal cost that we can. You know, because unfortunately, yeah, we're gonna, it's gonna have to be some cost. Yes.
Can we make it even $100 and then readdress it next year? I mean, if we're gonna,
Would you like me to look at the numbers of it?
Negotiate.
Want me to look at the numbers of it to see
Yeah.
what the impact would be?
yeah,
So,
I'm just thinking that more than double it.
I think that's still a pretty big jump. I
Put it
think
off
I-
till spring or whatever we can do then.
So how, if I might suggest to the board, we kind of started down this path, with the best of intentions to get things going as soon as possible when the school year started. As a parent to the board and a parent to everyone here, it's probably a bigger discussion than we anticipated. What we could do is, simply make the statement that for this school year, the 22-23 school year, we're going to stay status quo for the year. And then use that time to come to a better agreement amongst ourselves. Get some more input from folks in the community. And if we were able to come to some consensus by, I want to say February, that would leave us the rest of the school year, all of the summertime, to say that this will be implemented for the 2023-24 school year moving forward. That may be kind of the best of both worlds. We want to make sure to value the input that we're getting from our community, while at the same time recognizing the fact that it is difficult for a school district to completely subsidize or have to subsidize to this extent programming that's outside of our own control. I mean, it's a tough position to be in because and I know the board has saw this and we've talked about this with differing enterprises over the years. It's tough to subsidize one and then say to the next person that, no, you've got to pay full price or you've got to fit into X, Y, and Z. So we want to make something that's consistent, clear, and fair to all of our community members. So that would be something that you could defer to, and that would leave Drew and Mona and I some time to work out maybe some options A, B, and C along these parameters, and once again hold off on a final vote until we have some more opportunity.
I think we ought to have a little workshop too. I mean, or incorporate this as part of a workshop. Look at some real numbers, like what do they actually charge in a couple other smaller schools about our size, Connell, Prosser, or somewhere around.
Does it have to be Connell?
No.
Okay, I just
No.
wanted to make sure.
It's been a few.
Sorry.
years.
It's been a lot of years.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then whatever increase we do, I just think they should be modest. I mean, if we waited 15 years to increasing, it's to the benefit of those organizations, I feel like it's just pretty substantial to unleash in one fell swoop. So
I think it also might be a good idea for us to write into our procedures on things like this, that maybe this is something we revisit 3 to 5 year time period. So that when we do feel the need, it isn't all in one make up for 15 years.
right.
Okay. Any other comments? Suggestions?
Yeah, if that's the way that we'd like to go, we have no reason to take this to a vote. We can just continue this and
Call the discussion and
move forward
table it
to
till-
a work session and on from there.
do it for the date. Okay. All right. So into new business, minutes from 10:24. Oh, no, that's right. Sorry. So, we'll look for approval of the minutes from.
I'll move to approve the minutes from 10/24/22.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Policy 2020 curriculum development and adoption of instructional materials.
Yeah.
Revised.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thornton. So this is not a first reading, as this is a revision. However, it incorporates some of the ideas that Director Reinschmidt put forward out to the board, reflects much of our discussion around curriculum adoption, standards of which we're going to be used to judge curriculum and other adopted materials in the district. So with this, you see in the highlighted statement, the last paragraph on policy 2020.
Looks like there's a bit of a typo there. But just a repetitive word phrasing, but I think we can easily fix that.
In the red.
In the red?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There.
Don't
striking,
need the balanced one.
yes, strike the of balance.
Yeah, sorry to
They
interrupt.
balance
No,
themselves.
I'm glad you did. I've read this 4 or 5 times. I did not catch that. Basically though, having to strike through the words of balance.
Yep.
So it would read present a balance of differing views of controversial issues to ensure no indoctrination of any ideology, political or personal bias against any race, religion, gender, socioeconomic status, or U.S. citizenship. That is the only addition, only revision that we made to this policy. And based on extensive conversation, I'd ask the board to go ahead and consider and vote for approval.
Is this, was this an updated WASDA represented 2020? I mean, 2022? Did they revise it or did we?
No, this is something of our own.
From our
Some of
workshop,
this is
but-
our own language that we're inserting.
So the 2016 revision date was the last time.
That was the last time there was an official update, correct?
Yeah, so based on our discussions on our last
Right.
workshop.
Sorry, you got me thinking if I was
No, I
looking
was-
at the right policy for a second.
I saw 02 and.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just tried to put in some phrase or some wordage in there just to make sure that when we are evaluating curriculum, we're making sure that it's not slanted one way or another, that there's a balance and just to protect our kids from any ideology that might differ from their own, yeah. So
Do you think this language covers that?
it was my best.
It's
attempt at
probably-
it, yeah.
So you, okay, so
Yeah.
As far as.
I didn't hear that you're right, so yeah, okay.
Yeah.
In that case, obviously. I should.
As far as you can go without starting the controversy.
I think it says very well what the intent of the board was.
Well, the chair would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve it as amended,
I'll second.
striking the
Of
balance
With the
part.
With the strike, yes.
Okay, moved and seconded. Did you catch that? Teddy second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, passes unanimous. So on to the policy that, or the procedure that matches.
Correct. And again, much of the same language. Again, a very, very, to the point yet broad, not aimed at any specific issue, but broad enough to where it should more than cover, what the board was really trying to get at the core at is that, and that is simply to make sure that when we are looking at curriculum, and in this case, the actual procedure for selecting an option that's free from indoctrination of any ideology, political bias, or personal bias, which determines one's value based on race, religion, gender, socioeconomic status, or U.S. citizenship. And as appropriate, students will receive strategic and intensive intervention supports matched. Again, I think this language follows up very well on what the policy says.
It looks like there's another change on the next page as well.
Yep, yep. And again, I think it really is trying to get at the root of, I think, where the board was aiming, which was not to have any preconceived notions along an ideological sense of any gender-based, race-based, any type of ideology.
Neutrality.
Again, correct, neutrality, and I would recommend that we approve that procedure.
I'll move to approve procedure 2020P.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimous. On to procedure 2021P, library media centers.
And a little bit different, in that with the library, materials. What we're really talking about here is simply taking the processes and procedures that we've really outlined, what we want the intent to be in 2020 and 2020P. And then when we're looking at 2021P, making sure that, any recommendations, from our staff members, are subject to review of the superintendent, and then subject to review with the board as deemed necessary. There was a back and forth that I decided to go ahead and add that because one of the things I did not want, quite frankly, when I was trying to think of you in this case, I did not want the board having to review every library title under the sun on an annual basis. So using some ideas that we would only bring to the board things that we felt were in the best interest of the board to have their stamp of approval on, to make sure that our community realizes that you did consider it.
And then also not part of a revision, but also in that policy, there is a way that a citizen could ask for a request of any library or media materials to be reviewed.
Yep.
So we don't have to read the whole library.
As much as we want you to, yes, there's not a need for an annual review of the entire library. One of the things though that, coming out of our work session though too, was to look at trying to make the public review or public commenting, questioning, anything like that, to make it a little more robust than we currently have. And so that's something that I'm still working on and we'll bring to the board that can actually be an addendum to this as simply a practice.
Okay. I kind of like the change. Yep, I do.
I think I put some safeguards in there and just. It's not solely resting on one person to make these
Correct.
decisions. We'll go through you and then to the board if necessary.
Yep.
Right, well, the chair would entertain a motion of approval.
I'll move to go ahead and approve procedure 2021P.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Another passes unanimous proposition. Okay, we'll move into levy discussion.
Yeah, just an opportunity to bring the board up to speed on our ongoing discussions around our levy. I think that we really have hit at this point in my discussions with community members, with staff. I think we've really settled on what our levy rate would be, what the recommendation would be for our levy rate, quite frankly. I think that's to keep it at $1.50. One of the things that has been an ongoing point of discussion, I'd welcome anyone else's input on this. We really are trying to adopt and continue the practice of fiscal transparency. One of the things that I've talked to several community members about is the concept that our 4-year levy simply, from our standpoint and from as board members, as district people, you know, it's a little bit easier because you can set the amount for 4 years, you can kind of set it, and forget it, to borrow from Ron Popeil. But by making a 2-year levy, what we're really saying is we're gonna come back to the community. We're gonna show you what we've done with our dollars, and we're gonna ask for you to continue along the same lines for another 2 years. I think it gives us that opportunity to come back and have those conversations again. I think it also, and although a final decision obviously isn't necessary tonight, I think it also represents an opportunity for the board to acknowledge that current economic conditions in November of 2022 may be vastly different than they are in November of 2023 or 24. And we're not going to presume that things are just going to stay economically the status quo for the next 4 years. So I think while there are definitely advantages and disadvantages for a 2 or a 4 year, I think our 2 year right now is where I would be leaning, and I think that's where our community would be leaning from the people that I've talked to. But I've still got some more conversations to have, and we will be ready for, you know, our resolution with the amount, the dates of time, all of that stuff is due on the 16th of December at the latest for a February 14th vote. I think we can probably come to a vote at our next board meeting just to finalize it and be done and get the resolution out there ahead of everybody else.
So I wasn't able to attend the discussion on Thursday, but was there much feedback on the 2 versus 4, whether people would rather set it and be left alone, or if they want
I think
routinely be asked?
I think, you know, as we've talked about before, and I think Dale said it actually the best, I mean, folks who support the schools on a regular continuing basis will tell us to go for 4 because they're going to support it. I think there are folks who, regardless of whether it's a 2 or a 4, will not be in favor of that. That's acceptable. Where I get stuck, and I know we've had this conversation, is, you know, if you've got 30% on one side and 30% on this side that are always going to say yes or no, then what you're really talking about is that 40% in the middle, where you have some leeway. And I'm not unconvinced that that if we went straight for a 4, I think we'd have potentially less of that 40% of the middle as inclined to go for it, as if, you know, more so than if it was a 2 year. And knowing that they would have some security, knowing they're going to be asked again in 2 years and can re-look at their own economic conditions in their own household before stepping on for those next 2 years too. It's not a one that I think, it's not a yay or nay right now, is what I guess what I'm getting at. This is one that we're really trying to get as much input as we can. I've cold called a few people who have had discussions like this in the past, whether they were in your position at one point in time in the past or otherwise, just to get some ideas. I can tell you, I'm glad the election is over. In as much as they're ever really over in these times, but you know, from seeing the numbers of EP&O levies across the state, while some of them were quite tight, passed. So, in fact, I was just reading today that leaves East Valley of Yakima, very similar size school district to ours. You know, they're at 50.28%. So they're only, even with 8,000 votes counted, they're about 30 some votes apart. So they're going to go right down to the wire. But I think that bodes well, though. Even in the places where they're very contentious, they're still leaning towards positive results for schools. So I think it's just something we continue after, and then I think at our next meeting we should probably considers making a decision and getting a resolution adopted and moving forward.
I did note that we passed $1.50 per hundred or per thousand last time, but in reality, we're only paying $1.43
Correct.
because of the change in the values. So, you know, people think their taxes went up, but they kind of went down a little. I mean, for the
Yep.
relative values.
And I think it's important to note too, that once the board really decides to step forward. And we adopt our formal dollar figure and then corresponding rate. That's really when we start getting the information out as far as what this really means to you. You know, we can sit down with a taxpayer, look at their tax statement from the previous year and show them exactly what they would be looking at for the next year based on certain percentage increases. That's one of the things I do appreciate about DA Davidson is they're trying to be fairly conservative too, which gets us to the situation where oftentimes we pass an amount based on what we think will be $1.50 and it turns into $1.43 after 2 years. But that's okay. I'd much rather have it that way than the opposite.
Yeah, and just a note on that, we do get the levy equalization funding if we get the maximum amount. If we
Correct.
run it at $1.50, then we can get the most from property rich districts.
Correct.
They would funnel some money our way to help us out.
Mhm. That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then we'll move into board comments. I'll comment it
I'm
out.
all commenting.
There are a lot, but yeah, there's quite a few comments.
I have a question on, last year we had an ESD person here and that went through the district office and did we ever get a report from her? Was it Terry? Was that her name or? Yeah,
Terry Cassie.
and then she came and assessed our district office and the division of responsibilities. And then we ever get a report or some kind of recommendations from her? Or?
We didn't do any follow-up. It's ironic that you said that because I actually had a follow-up conversation today with a couple of our staff members.
Okay.
No, that was at a time when we were scheduling out to have Terry come back out and we had, quite frankly, another opening in that same position. So we kind of put that on the sideline, but I had the request today to go ahead and bring that back. So I think it's
Okay.
even though Terry is retired now, she still does some of this type of consulting work. And I know once it's something that she started, we can bring back around.
Okay,
and finish
yeah,
up.
I just wanted to see what the resolution was or the recommendations or,
Yep.
because we did it, but then it never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we did it, didn't we?
Okay, good. Then-
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see some more on that.
Right.
Any other? Okay, well, then I guess we're gonna move into a executive session with no business to follow. 30 minutes according to the RCW. And we'll consider this meeting adjourned after that. Thank you very much, especially for the comments and the participation.